A voice says he hates humanity. We see a lavish mansion, and inside, rich guests are having a fancy party. They are looking at a young man who is casting a small ball of light over his raised hand. The host brags about the latest addition to his collection, referring to the young man who is kneeling alongside some sculptures. The man calls Bai the living lamp. He had a 1200 power level, so he was the focus of many. But when his ability finally awakened, it was just an F rank. All he could do was make a ball of light in his hands. The rich host then states that if not for his kindness, Bai would have been sold for his organs. As the guests cruelly laugh and mock him, Bai is convinced there are no good people in this world. He vows to kill all of them, even if it leads to the extinction of mankind. We then learn that the world is polluted. Numerous disasters occurred. The statue of the Imperial Valkyrie mutated. A 100-meter-tall regiment of stone giants was summoned and destroyed the city. The Mana Trench turned into a dimensional vortex, and aliens swarmed out. Advent Island was completely overrun by demons. A giant two-dimensional picture book appeared randomly all over the world and sucked in numerous buildings and humans. In addition, any object in the world could turn into deadly pollutants. As a result, the human population went from 12 billion to 6 billion in half a year. It was at this moment when all hope seemed lost that sealers appeared. They were humans empowered by pollution. They sealed the pollutants, thus gaining wealth and honor. They became heroes, the last guardians of mankind. We then see Bai in a student uniform heading for school. It turns out he was reborn. He still harbors the belief that humans should be exterminated. He looks around at all the students who have gathered for the sealer qualification exam. Suddenly, someone with a tattooed arm grabs his shoulder. It's a tall blonde man in a Hawaiian shirt who says he has been looking for him. Bai remembers Kim, who was the lone shark who ruined his family in his previous life. Kim mocks him for not saying anything and then draws the attention of the nearby students. He says Bai is the genius who tested at the 1200 power level 3 years ago. The students are familiar with the story and start laughing at him. They mock him for only awakening a lame ability despite his high energy. Kim joins in on the laughter and asks what it is like to be watched by everyone. It is only by becoming a sealer that Bai will be able to be sold for a good price to pay back what he owes Kim. Otherwise, his organs may be found all over the world. Bai is familiar with this encounter, as it is playing out in exactly the same way. In his past life, Kim died in a pollutant incident, so Bai was not able to get revenge. He then grabs Kim by the collar of his shirt and berates him for being so loud. On top of that, he insults him by using his own daughter. The lone shark is enraged and balls his fist as he moves to punch Bai. The young man is unbothered though, and even dares Kim to hit him in the face. He says if he gets hurt, he won't be able to pass the exam, and then Kim will have to explain to his boss why he can't pay the loan. The lone shark sweats a bit, knowing Bai is right. He lets go of the student, and then says he had better pass or suffer the consequences. To his surprise, Bai points a finger at his face and then, with a sinister grin, says that he has been marked. He then casually walks away. The other students continue to avoid him though, refusing to even make eye contact. None of them wants to be associated with him. Bai expects all of this, as it is human nature. We then flash back to 3 years ago on this very same exam site. Bai, at that time, was a wide-eyed teen filled with enthusiasm. He tells everyone his dream is to protect humanity and seal all the pollutants in the world. At the age of 16, some people awaken unique special abilities. Those who meet the criteria of ability, level, and combat can become a sealer. Ability is a skill. Power level is the amount of energy you have. Levels determine how powerful the abilities will be. The crowd looks on with admiration, believing that the teen's high power level will lead to him being a pillar of the country. Headmaster Pushkin moves closer to using his foresight ability on Bai. He places his hand on the teen's head and says he can't see what he is going to awaken yet. His voice then gets louder as he declares that he can see it. The young man will shine among the stars. The students become even more excited, as even the famous heroes have never received such a prophecy. At that moment, Bai thought his life would be awesome. His mom could buy the best vegetables, and his sister could purchase her desired long skirt. His dad could relax, and he would be able to meet lots of pretty girls. He thought of all the student loans, news reports, and advanced sponsorship promises. Then, his power awoke. It was an F-rank summon light sphere. It was a simple ball of light with no heat, no effect, and no attack power. All the goodwill that he had received from others quickly turned into a ruthless backlash. They saw him as having trash power and stopped seeing him as a human being. He remembers all the terrible things that happened to him with a feeling similar to that of falling into an abyss. All the benefits were withdrawn, and they had to sell the house to pay off their debt. His father owed money to Kim and took his sister to hide abroad. Now he is here taking the sealer's entrance exam so he can pass and pay back the money. So far, everything is happening the same way, including her, as he spots a svelte girl with long hair. She is examining her sword as Bai thinks that while humanity should go extinct, she deserves to live. A voice on the speakers calls the attention of the students and announces that the exam will start soon. They are instructed to form teams and then to search for pollutants and seal them. Shaju then declares that the exam has officially begun. She wishes everyone good luck as they frantically start forming teams. Some students beg to be allowed in some teams, citing their abilities. Other teams search for one more member who will suit their skills. As the students scurry about the field, a teacher notes that the most powerful ones had already agreed to join together before the exam began. This can be unfair to others. Examiner Jin notes that those who go alone usually don't last long. Shaju scoffs at this notion, saying that completing tasks alive is what ultimately matters. Connections, money, and power are factors that exist, and those who live are those who are useful. Jin then shares that 95% of the students have already found a team. She looks at the stats and sees that all the students' power levels are below 100. She then gets surprised when she reads that one student has a 1200 power level. However, who points out that Bai doesn't even have a team that wants him. In the field, the students have now paired up in groups of 4 or 5. A spiky-haired student begs one team to accept him. However, they'd push him away since he is just an E rank. Bai approaches the student and suggests they be together since they both can't find a team. The student is angered at the suggestion and declines. On top of that, he punches Bai and tells him to stay away. The young man looks up and remembers how that teen used to act like his friend. He covers his bloody nose as he is left alone again. Just then, the pretty girl from earlier hands him a handkerchief. Her name is Sheena, and she has purple hair and eyes. Bai tells her to be careful since she hasn't awakened her powers yet. Sheena says not to worry, as everyone knows she has 0 power and a 0 power level. Bai smiles and says that the future has limitless possibilities. Zhang then calls her and asks for her personal information so they can team up. He is a B rank with the ability Rock Fist. Sheena explains that her cousin hired a team to help her pass the exam. She then asks if Bai can come along. He says that they are there to follow her orders, and Bai asks why she is helping him. He wants to know the answer and considers it very important. She replies that it might be sympathy, and that he shouldn't think too much about it. He then hands his application paper to Zhang. The big man asks how Bai knows his name. Bai makes a small light sphere between his fingers and says it can illuminate the unknown. Zhang is amazed, but Bai says he just said that for fun. The students are then instructed to enter the school building area to search for trigger pollutants. We follow a group of 4 students as they walk between the buildings. They are Gray, a D rank with the ability to plant growth, Chen, a C rank who has Lave Earth, Yichun, a healer, and Luna, a cat girl with the ability to stun stance. Chen hopes they can find some pollutants in the area. Gray tells him that she senses something in the nearby flower beds. Luna then jumps forward to clear the way. She hops ahead of the group but stops as some pollutants emerge from the ground. She warns her group, then jumps out of the way of the massive plant creature, which stands ready to attack. Suddenly, more small 4-leaf clover enemies come out from the ground all around them. There are too many Gray to suppress. Chen orders Luna to use her stun skill to buy them some time. She activates her stun stance but informs the others she can only hold it for 8 seconds. That is all the time he needs as he buries his hands into the ground and casts lava jet. Multiple mini volcanoes spring from the ground, burning all the plant pollutants. They all scream in pain as the flames engulf them. Chen then asks if everyone is okay. Luna goes to the corpse of the leader and shows its core to the captain. He takes it from her, stating that once planted, it will turn into a pollutant again. However, it won't produce a leader but rather a stream of the smaller 4-leaf clovers, making it an infinite source of resources. Shen holds it in his hands and declares that the sealed objects are the most precious treasure of mankind. Elsewhere, Bai and his group are also searching the premises. He looks calm and relaxed, but Sheena tells him to stay alert. He wonders why she is afraid, as their captain is a B rank. Actually, Bai is starting to get impatient for Zhang to find the pollutant. The large captain tells them to keep searching. Bai, however, is thinking of a special pollutant that has the pollute domain ability. This is a separate space formed around a pollutant that's sealed off from the outside world. Suddenly, Zhang senses something. He asks Bai to use the sphere to explore the warehouse. Sheena wonders why he has no flashlight, but Bai is overjoyed that someone actually needs his powers. He runs forward and drags Zhang with him. He smiles and then steps on a specific location on the ground. His teammates are surprised as the ground seems to melt underneath them, and they are engulfed in a kind of black ooze. Back at the main field, where the teachers are observing the exam, Jin states that they have lost surveillance of a group of students. In addition, the only C-class pollutant has been triggered. Shaju is unperturbed as she says that dying is a common occurrence. Meanwhile, Bai uses his sphere to light up the area. They spot a big spider perch on its web. It is a crypt demon spider. Zhang tells everyone to stop and follow his lead. He orders Qian to control the noise so the monster will not wake up, and for Jinzi to subdue it. Qian suggests, though, that they first get rid of Bai to lessen their burden. Sheena is appalled to hear this and states that her family's money is not for killing innocents. Zhang backs her up, saying her word is law. He then points at Bai and tells him to stay away and be a good streetlight. Jinzi jokes that they should hang him from the ceiling so they can have a better view. The three guys laugh at this, but Sheena tells them to be on guard as something doesn't feel right. Bai then grabs her by the hand, and she asks what he is doing. He knows she is holding a magic sword and says they are both incapable of fighting, so she should let a man protect her. Sheena is speechless, and Bai says that he is actually filled with a sense of justice and responsibility. His eyes move downward as he raises the sword and uses it to stab Sheena's shadow. His party mates are surprised as Bai tells Goki, the second master of the Jai family, to come out. Sheena is shocked as Bai pulls her back from the shadow. Goki then slowly emerges from the darkness and compliments Bai's eyesight. He then tells the young man to join his research, which is about transferring his power level to him. Sheena is still in shock that her cousin is here, while Bai is ready for this encounter. He remembers that in his past life, Goki made the spider eat one of his hands. He also shamelessly ravaged his cousin. Now, Bai smiles at him and says he will get a taste of what it is like to be abused and killed. He then raises his hand and declares that it is time to show his true ability. Bai awakens his true ability, which is the Divine Hand. It grants the target a random ability with the same level as the host. This ability can then be withdrawn, and the target will receive feedback from the power level. The abilities granted are all recorded and can be used at the host's discretion. Qian and Jinzi falsely act like they are scared that Bai is awakening. Zhang joins in on the two, but then the three guys stop and burst out in laughter. They mock Bai, saying second awakenings are unheard of. Goki, though, tells Bai to focus on him as dark energy suddenly appears under Sheena's feet. Goki moves in and grabs her by the neck. Sheena can barely breathe but still selflessly shouts at Bai to escape. The young man looks touched to hear this, but before he can act, Zhang comes in front of him. The big dude balls his fist and then activates his rock hand ability. He stands between Bai and Sheena while his two partners head for the demon spider. The purple-haired beauty starts to cry with regret, lamenting that she could have killed them if only she had awakened her power. Bai then points his spear at her and says he will grant her the chance to change her destiny. He flings the light ball forward. It zips right by Zhang. Goki is pissed and casts a shadow wall. To his surprise, the sphere breaks right through and heads right for Sheena. It enters her forehead, and she suddenly starts to glow. Her cousin recognizes it as the aura of an awakened power and starts to sweat. He realizes that Bai has the power to help others awaken. He extends his hand and offers to have the gifted young man work for him. Bai turns him down without a second thought, adding that Goki will be dead soon, so he won't be able to pay his wages. Sheena, meanwhile, is getting hotter, forcing him to let go. The flames are so hot that they burn off all her clothes. She is an A rank who has awakened the ability of thermal mastery with a power level of 1200. Sheena can't believe what is happening, but Bai tells her to stop standing still and to move. With a fierce gaze, she turns to Goki. He tries to talk her out of fighting, saying she is not yet familiar with her powers. Zhang, though, is actually moving towards her, planning to strike from behind. He jumps up and prepares to smash her with his thing-like fist. Sheena sees him coming, though, and blasts him with a powerful burst of fire. Zhang is charred into a crisp, while Goki looks in disbelief as even he can't kill a B rank in one hit. He uses his ability to dive and hide in the shadow. He moves behind her, thinking that while she has awakened the thermal ability, it has a short attack range that he can take advantage of. He moves closer, planning to kill her with his shadow dagger. He comes out of the shadows and looks poised to strike. Bai, though, asks if Goki really thinks he is safe. For an A rank with a 1200 power level, crushing him will be like squishing a bug. Goki is still determined not to give up and fires. Sheena, though, also attacks him with a powerful concentrated flame blast that neutralizes his shadow daggers and burns him alive. Bai celebrates her victory while Sheena takes a deep breath and then reassesses what just happened to her. Like a good gentleman, Bai covers her up with his jacket and says it is normal for her heart to beat so fast in her first fight. Sheena still can't believe that her cousin, who had been so good to her before, tried to kill her. Bai adds that her parent might have also suffered a terrible death at his hands as he planned to take over the family. She thanks him wholeheartedly, then faints in his arms due to exhaustion. Bai then feels a surge of energy and realizes that he has also gained the ability that she awakened. He also got a 9 power level feedback, bringing his total to 1,209. Suddenly, Jinzi appears above him, having merged with the demon spider. He sees that Sheena has fainted and thinks this is his chance to kill Bai. As he believes the young man has no combat skills, he moves forward, but Bai grabs Sheena and jumps away to safety. He smiles and wonders why Jinzi would assume that. The spider demon, though, is overflowing with bloodlust, screaming that Bai has no place to hide and will die. Thermal Mastery forms a heat energy light cone by releasing heat instantly. Bai grabs the water bottle and wonders what if it absorbs heat. He lets the water out, allowing him to absorb heat and condense water into ice, forming an ice sword at 0 degrees. He turns to face Jinzi and asks him why he would ever need to hide. Jinzi tells Kian, who is hiding behind him, not to be afraid. He asks if his buddy has a trick, and Kian replies that he just needs some time. This is no problem for Jinzi as he casts a poisonous spider web. Bai sees it coming and smiles with confidence. He swings his sword using 0 degree slash. This sends ice shockwaves that meet the web and turn it into frozen powder. Bai stares at Jinzi and asks if that is all he has got. He then leaps forward and strikes the spider demon's legs with his ice sword. Jinzi screams in terror, but Bai tells him not to die yet as he still has some experiments to try. He thrusts his sword forward right into the spider's mouth. The demon's head begins to freeze while the top part of the sword starts to gain a purplish color. Bai takes it out and sees that it has gotten longer. It was also able to absorb the spider's poisonous venom, giving it a poison effect. He raises it high, then prepares to deliver the finishing blow. Jinzi screams, though, that he shouldn't be killed. He is one with the spider, and his death will result in the pollute domain breaking. Bai sees that he is right. Goki planned this assassination with the intent of using the pollute domain to destroy all traces of his crime. Jinzi sees a chance and releases control of the demon spider. If he loses control of the demon, it will unlock the pollute domain and run away when it feels its life is in danger. Kian, meanwhile, is busy accumulating the power of sound. Bai sees that the spider will be a problem, but decides he can deal with it later. Kian completes his charging and fires a sonic slam cannon. It passes right through Bai's ears, causing him to fall to his knees due to the powerful sound. Kian is pleased as all humans have the same weakness, no matter how strong. Jinzi runs to take Sheena's sword, saying they mustn't waste their chance. The demon spider is also slowly approaching Bai, who is still on his knees. It moves forward to chomp him, but Bai is able to recover and convert his ice sword into an ice shield to block it. He smiles, saying that he now has no reason to hesitate in killing. He runs away from the spider while Kian prepares another sound attack. He then panics when he realizes Bai is heading for their captain's body. He stands over Zhang's burned corpse and casts his light sphere. He flings it at the body, granting it 1,200 power levels. He immediately retrieves it, thus instantly gaining the Rock Fist ability and an additional 212 power points. He casts it right away on his right hand, and then uses it to smash the spider demon like a bug. He then runs again, this time to Guan's dead body. He does the same thing that he did with Zhang, and just like that, he now has the Black Shadow A-rank ability as well. Jinzi and Kian attempt to attack him from behind, but Bai disappears into his shadow, avoiding their attacks. The shadow starts slithering through the ground like a snake as Kian realizes that Bai has the ability to copy other people's skills. A dark shadow stealthily emerges behind the helpless student and engulfs him in darkness. Bai also gains the sound skill in the process, leaving Jinzi, who is now shaking in fear. Bai reveals himself and says that they will do one more experiment. Jinzi flees for his life as Bai tries an ability combination. He uses a rock fist to form the base, shadow magic to fuel it, and heat and sound power combine to form a thermal energy cannon. He calls it his special attack to kill Pushkin, which he calls the Hellcrusher Gold Cannon. He fires the powerful spell at his cowering enemy, who is helpless to defend himself. The blast completely disintegrates him, while Bai is pleased that his experiment worked. The pollutant domain then vanishes, leaving Bai and Sheena back on the campus. He is pleased, as the pollutant was also successfully sealed. He holds it in his hand, then looks up and is surprised. Shaju, the other examiners, and some students are there watching him. Bai asks what they are doing there, and Shaju replies by asking where Goki is. Bai can tell from the way Shaju asked about Goki that she is colluding with him. He looks at Sheena and remembers how she died unjustly in her previous life, and how he wants to avoid such a fate for her this time. Bai pretends he does not know who Goki is by asking if he is Sheena's cousin. He wonders if she knew from the start that Goki's body would disappear once the pollute domain disappeared. Suddenly, Sheena's bodyguards arrive and are in a hurry to get to their unconscious mistress. They work quickly as they call a driver to take her to the hospital and cover her up. Bai tells them she is going to be okay and is just exhausted. The head bodyguard, Ryan, thinks he has something to do with his mistress's state and so demands to know from him what happened. Shaju also asks the bodyguards to arrest him since she has things to ask him too. This leads everyone to surround him. One of the bodyguards, Fenny, takes off her glasses to use her power of locking in on her target with her vision. The deputy examiners also activate their powers to be ready. Bai tries to calm them and asks to take away their powers so that he can explain properly. Deep down, he does not want to face them head-on since he knows nothing of their abilities yet. Unfortunately, Ryan half-transforms into his monster dinosaur form, all threatening to tear him into pieces if he does not tell them everything. Bai determines that he can't escape from them, no matter what he does. Shaju tells him that she is authorized to execute him as the head examiner, but offers to let him live if he tells them what happened. Bai says he understands but asks that they handle the situation calmly. He shows her his and Sheena's exam files and requests that Shaju sign the papers to say that they passed. With a snap of her finger, Shaju tears the files into dust. Bai wonders if the head examiner's ability is to decompose matter. She warns him that each of her fingernails contains an attack that can make him disappear, and so offers that he confess fast. She also tells Ryan that Sheena will get the highest score for getting out of the pollute domain alive. Ryan raises his fist at Bai and threatens to hit him. Bai can tell that he was not just boasting when he threatened to tear him into pieces. He instantly tells them that he will talk and tells them that Goki instructed him to keep secret that he wanted to take the treasure from the school. Shaju does not believe him since she can't sense Goki's presence. Pretending to be afraid, Bai says Goki is after Headmaster Pushkin's treasure. The mention of the headmaster intrigues Shaju. Ming reminds her that they can't afford to offend Pushkin. Jin also informs her that Pushkin is currently in the neighboring city's school to give a lecture. Shaju tries to put everything in her head and wonders if Goki is really after Pushkin's treasure. She believes that Goki must have spared Bai and Sheena since he thinks they might still be useful, and wants her to keep them in custody to avoid leaking the secret. She regrets that she involved the Jai family's bodyguards. She demands that Bai take them to Goki immediately. Meanwhile, the bodyguards are just about ready to take their mistress to the hospital. Bai wonders if he and Sheena can still see each other alive in the future. He makes a mischievous smile, believing that their interrogation of him means they are playing right into his trap. They walk the campus until they reach the building. Students see Bai being taken in by the examiners and look down on him for it. Bai tells the examiners that they might need to go to the headmaster's office to see Goki. Before they go to the office, Bai secretly manipulates his shadow on the ground. They open the door to the office for the examiners to see what looks like Goki in his shadow form. Bai thanks Pushki for taking him into his office in his past life. The Goki shadow then grabs the golden ox statue displayed near it and throws it to Shaju. The moment she catches it, Bai declares that an S-class pollute domain has opened. A bright light engulfs the building therein, so blinding that even the students outside cover their eyes. Elsewhere, at a neighboring school, Pushkin is giving a lecture about pollute domains and how it is the area dominated by the power of pollutant. He says that how he rules within the domain depends on the ability and level of the boss. He says that domains under C rank are not a threat, but those above C rank vary from people unknowingly being poisoned to people falling into an eternal sleep to bosses killing anyone the moment they step on their domain. Pushkin informs them that they must defeat the boss to get out of the domain, and that the prerequisite to defeating them is to know the domain rules. In front of Pushkin is shown to be a lecture hall full of students all listening. One student asks the headmaster if he knows of the recent A-rank domain reported recently. Hearing about the A-rank domain incident causes fear among the crowd. The student who mentioned the A-rank domain incident informs the others that the casualty rate for sealers in an A-rank domain is 90%. He believes that the headmaster telling newcomers like him about to C-class domains must mean that even higher-level domains have become so widespread that information about A-class domains has become impossible to control. Pushkin returns their attention towards him to tell them that they are right about their worries, and the reason he came to their school is because it is his duty to tell the future of mankind about the problem. He informs them that above C-class domains have an 80% casualty rate, and that A-rank domains have a 90% casualty rate. Above all, he informs them that an S-class domain has a casualty rate of 99%. This leads the students to panic. One student stands up to ask the headmaster if he can tell if humanity will perish with his prophetic ability. He answers that a turning point in mankind will happen in 3 months. Meanwhile, Bai's entire university campus is being covered up by a barrier. Bai smiles, as it is nostalgic for him to be in an S-class pollute domain again. Shaju realizes that the domain was activated when the golden ox statue was tossed, and so asks Goki what is going on. The Goki shadow gets reabsorbed by Bai for everyone to see. Shaju realizes that it is just his trick. Bai activates his shadow power, giving him the ability to swim on the ground to escape from their grasp. Ming lengthens his octopus tentacle arms to block Bai's path. Ming boasts that his tentacles can even stop A-class sealers. Bai gets deeper into his shadow to make himself intangible. Ming tells him that his aura is locked on by his tentacles. Even as a shadow on the ground, Ming's tentacles can still catch up to Bai. Wang then summons her electric pixies and commands them to zap the shadow with lightning. It leads the shadow to become immobile to the point that Ming catches him. Bai is surprised that his tentacles can touch his shadow form. Shaju steps into the shadow and demands to know why he has Goki's ability. Bai asks her what the sharpest sound is. Then he uses Qian's sound control to overwhelm everyone with loud sound. It is so intense that the surrounding glass shatters and all their ears get wounded. A second later, they realize Bai is gone. Ryan appears in his dinosaur monster form to advise the examiners to go to safety now that they are in an over A-class domain. The dinosaur jumps out the window while Fenny follows him on the ground. Shaju believes Ryan is not telling them something about the domain, considering that the Jai family's research on domains is on another level from the norm. She tells her deputy examiners to follow her closely so they can find a way to leave the domain. Meanwhile, the students outside are confused why they are behind a barrier. Meanwhile, Bai is on top of a rooftop and is in pain after losing an arm while trying to escape earlier. He is frustrated that he lost an arm the same way he did in his past life. Still, he smiles as he thinks about his plans for killing Pushkin to stop him from what he will do in 3 months. The students are starting to panic that they are trapped inside a barrier. One of them, Chen, sees the situation and figures he can use the others to figure out the rules of the pollute domain. He gets everyone's attention and tells them that the barrier is actually part of the exam and that they need to work together to get a better grade. He volunteers to be their leader and so boasts about his A+ grade in tactical planning. Luna, the cat girl, seconds that he would be a great leader. One of the students, Masa, gets frustrated that Chen got ahead of him in volunteering to be a leader, believing he could have had a higher grade if he were the captain. Another would-be alpha, named Yin, asks Ian to show his ability so he could be convinced that he would be a good leader for them. Chen demonstrates his power by turning the nearby floor into lava. Just as he asks if they are impressed by his ability, a bowl made of red energy rams into him in front of the student crowd. They all become more fearful now that they have confirmed that they are in a domain and that the rule has just been activated. They try to figure out what rule he broke, but can't with so little information. Luna mourns for her dead captain and is shivering. The moment some of Chen's lifeblood goes to the catgirl's hand, the bull attacks her too. Some of her lifeblood gets into the clothes of the others watching and they get rammed too. Meanwhile, Bai is on the rooftop, watching the students being killed one by one. He mourns that people need to die in the world. He knows that in 3 months, Pushkin will release the demon bull into the world, leaving only a few dozen people in Heewon City. He remembers until the bull consumed all, until no one was left. To him, what is happening now seems so small. The situation in the school is so dire that students start bullying each other. Others turn to pleading on their knees for the situation to stop. Bai informs the viewers that the pollutant is the S-rank Golden Bull Rush, and that once activated, the monster will trample anyone who causes a small color change. Once the people get angrier, the rules become even more strict. He thinks about how much of a terrifying Pushkin is for turning such a monster into a weapon. He jumps off the rooftop and uses the thermal change ability to heat the air beneath him and so, slowing down his descent. He lands and catches how careful he is not to trigger the color change rule. He believes that once day turns into night, the area will be a massacre. He does not want to recall the chaos in the future and so focuses on finding Sheena and saving her. Meanwhile, Fenny asks Ryan if they are going after Bai. Ryan reminds her that their duty is to protect Sheena and to find Goki. The Dino also tells her that he knows Bai saved Sheena's life and that he only pretended to be in league with Shaju. Secretly, Fenny wants to kill Ryan and Sheena because her loyalty is to her master Goki. Wang tells Ryan that Sheena is still unconscious but okay inside the van. Wang and Fenny gesture to each other that it is time for their betrayal plan. They want Ryan to enter the van so they can trigger the bomb underneath. Secretly, Wang has a light switch made of energy that is connected to the bomb under the van and that, once he presses it, will detonate. Wang believes that once Goki becomes the head of the family, his position will also rise. He readies to press the switch, knowing his life will forever change once he does. Fenny stops him from pressing as she notices someone is coming. The three examiners appear, and Shaju tells Wang and Fenny to let their boss come out of the van since they need to talk about the pollute domain. Secretly, Shaju wants the opportunity to kill Sheena, but can't find the opening. She worries that if she messes with the current head of the Jai family, she will be in trouble. Ryan gets out of the van to tell her that he does not want to cooperate with them since their priority is to get Sheena to safety. Shaju suggests that they cooperate to keep her alive. He admits that her power to turn things to dust is something that was only given to her, and that her real ability is spatial backpack. She explains that she can open a portal to another dimensional space that keeps them away from danger. Ryan sees that her plan is for all of them to get sheltered in her space. Shaju asks what the Jai family's research says about beating high-level domains. The only information Ryan shares is that they are all doomed and that only a pollutant can beat a pollutant. Shaju demands that he quit keeping information since they are all in danger right now. Ryan says he will say more as long as Sheena comes into her space first. Shaju says her plan is to gather all the living students and gather information. Ryan disagrees with this because gathering people means more chances that the rules would be triggered, and instead wants them to investigate the dead for info. He orders Fenny to use her Visio ability to analyze the dead, so she takes off her glasses and activates her vision ability. Meanwhile, Shaju gets busy plotting her own escape plans. She orders Jin to check the student information and then orders Ming to use his tentacles to grab students. Secretly, she wants to gather as many of the lives to sacrifice as possible to gather information. Meanwhile, Bai is hiding behind a distant building wall, and he has heard of their plan to grab students to test the rules. He thinks about how he can get to Sheena while everyone is mixed together. He gets startled as a girl student sneaks up behind him. He demands to know how she can be of use to him, so he will not kill her. She introduces herself as Xiao and tells him that Ming's tentacles will grab her in 17 seconds, and that he can use her as bait to retreat his ability. Bai demands to know her ability and then grabs her by the throat. Ming's tentacles arrive and grab onto Xiao. Bai thinks it is a mistake to ignore him. He uses his power to bestow others with abilities on Xiao while she is being grabbed by the tentacles. The light of his power travels all the way to Ming. He sucks Ming of all of his energy, putting him unconscious. He then steps on one of his lifeless tentacles and uses it as a conduit to send his shadow on Ming. This leads to the bull ramming Ming. Before anything happens to her, Shaju uses her spatial ability to escape. Bai then activates his Hell Crusher gold cannon and fires concentrated sound waves, eliminating Fenny and Wang. Even more abilities get added to Bai's collection. Xiao is amazed at how strong Bai is and how it only took him a few seconds to formulate a counterattack plan. She reviews that he gave her and Ming power, and then withdrew it instantly. He then put a shadow on the examiner to trigger the color change rule. At the same time, the demon bull hit him. He fired his cannon to distract Fenny from realizing he was already stealing her ability. Because of the color change of the explosion, the demo bull returned to finish everyone off. She came to both admire and fear him. He came to believe he is her hope for survival. Bai reads her mind and tells her to keep praising him. Xiao realizes he also stole her mind-reading ability and becomes all flustered that he heard everything she was thinking. Bai tells her through mind connection to shut up and listen to him. He tells her that he needs his help since they can communicate with each other through their minds. He bestows her with the Rock Fist ability and a 1000 power level to help her gather students so she can collect abilities for him. He warns her not to try to escape from him since he can sense her wherever she goes in the domain. Instead of being threatened, Xiao's heart melts for him. She runs off to do as he commands, glad that she and her classmates will survive. She is also glad that she showed her through his mind all of what he knows about the domain and how to escape it. Knowing there is someone like Bai fills her with hope that they will survive. Every praise she thinks all goes to Bai's ear. Meanwhile, Wag reports to Ryan that Fenny has died. Bai approaches the bodyguards and tells them that Shaju continues to be in her space dimension. Seeing him approaching, Ryan ordered Wang to take care of Sheena in the car. Bai warns them not to act harshly unless they don't want him to trigger the rule. Secretly, Bai communicates with Ryan with a voice transmission ability to tell him about how Gua wanted to kill Sheena to take away the position of family head, and that he was working with the head examiner and the 2 other bodyguards he is with. He also tells him about the bomb under the car. Mentioning a bomb makes Ryan think he is threatening their lives and makes him want to attack him. Bai grows tentacles out of his missing left arm, and these tentacles envelope the Dino's arm before it can get to him. Bai admits that he can barely block him with his strength. He tries to think of an ability that would be useful, but knows that any of them can trigger the color rule. He instead shouts at Wang to trigger the bomb under the car, as if they were secret allies of Goki. This leads Wang to ready and activate the bomb. Ryan quickly dashes towards him and grabs him before he can activate the bomb. The dinosaur crushes his body with his huge hand. Wang proposes that they die together and is ready to press the switch. Bai takes away his ability before he could. Ryan then throws Wang a distance, where the bull rams him like a passing truck. Ryan asks why he let him kill Wang when there were other, more merciful ways. Bai answers that he does not care about their lives, and his only value is that he can help him protect Sheena. He then calls for Shaju to get out of her space, convincing her that everything is okay now as long as she does not have lifeblood on her clothes. He then tells her that Goki is already dead, and that she no longer needs to follow her, and that instead, they should work together to take care of the plants and trees to protect the environment. He grabs Jin with his tentacle ability. The deputy examiner realizes she can no longer activate her ability. Bai tells her that her ability is his to keep now. Elsewhere on the campus, a student releases his banknote with the power to protect him from any spell. The moment he activates it, a green glow envelops his body. He boasts that it has worked and that he now has the ability to walk out of the barrier. Suddenly, the demo bull rams him and instantly kills him. The other panic, given that the banknote he used was considered very powerful for protection. They believe from all the clues that a change of environment must be the rule. They review that touching lifeblood and a cell phone screen lighting up are prohibited, as well as transforming into a bird or becoming invisible. Yin reviews that the student who turned into a bird could activate her power early on, only for her ability to trigger the rule later. Masa panics at how the rules are getting stricter with time. Yin suddenly grabs his mouth with his hand. Yin then grabs everyone's attention to tell them to keep quiet and not to use their abilities to stay alive. He tells them of his bad feeling that the rules might be getting stricter the more they get triggered. He fears that in a few moments, even breathing might trigger the rule of instant death. Masa gets on his knees, begging for someone to save them. Yin keeps thinking that there is no hope of learning what the trigger is. He tells Masa that it is up to the two of them to figure it out as the two strongest B rankers of the group. Suddenly, someone tells them that the specific rule is color change. It turns out Xiao has appeared, and she tells them that only she can save them. He tells them of her ability to probe minds, feel thoughts, and uncover the secrets of the human heart. She elaborates that she senses the killing intent of someone on the campus and found something interesting in the process. She tells them that she found out that Bai is a regressor who knows the changes in the future and is preparing to destroy humanity. They want to say something about her revelation, but she insists that none of them say a word. He then shares that Bai has spurned his humanity and plans to destroy the world, and that it is up to them to stop him. She touches Yin and Masa's heads to transmit to them what she has learned so far. Realizing Bai is so strong worries Yin and Masa. Xiao also shares that he has her mind-reading ability now, but believes that his weakness is that he gobbles up abilities without digging deep into each ability. She tells them that she created a mental barrier that prevents Bai from peeking into her head under surface thoughts, and that she also gave that ability to them. She reviews that Masa can fire energy projectiles, while Yin can use compressed air to temporarily improve his physical fitness. This confirms to the two that Xiao is indeed a mind reader. She also shares that she knows that Yin has compressed the air around them to make their conversation private from the other students. This convinces her that she chose the right partners, and she invites them to save humanity with her. This leads Masa and Yin to invite the other students to unite against Bai. Secretly, Xiao is happy that the students were so easy to manipulate and is scheming to take advantage of Bai's knowledge of the future. Elsewhere, Bai is annoyed that his new mind-reading ability keeps showing Xiao's fangirl thoughts about him. Currently, he is facing Ryan while trying to predict Shaju's next moves. He tells Ryan that he is leaving while secretly messaging him to continue protecting Sheena and to kill Shaju on sight. Bai uses Wang's ability to create a rope made of light to swing him elsewhere. Ryan wonders how Bai was never discovered if he is so powerful. He worries that since he is protecting Sheena, it means he also has the power to take him away from the family one day. Shaju suddenly opens her portal to exit her space dimension. She suggests to Ryan that they work together to catch Bai. Secretly, she is prioritizing the favor of the Jai family and fears that letting Bai talk to the family means she is in danger. Ryan agrees to work together as long as she puts Sheena into her dimension. Meanwhile, many of the students have gathered in the sports field to team up against Bai. They talk about the plan of letting Bai lure the demo bull to them so that they can put their abilities together to defeat the pollutant. Meanwhile, Yin and Masa have a mental conversation with Xiao about how they will convince Bai that the bull got trapped inside him so that they have an excuse to attack him all at once. They are glad to learn that many of the students have such destructive abilities. Xiao believes their plan is so good that they would make great henchmen of her someday. She declares that she will make Bai her slave before he can get stronger. In Bai's memory of the future, Pushkin put him under an operating table under bright lights. In this future, Bai was sold to the headmaster once Pushkin discovered his talent. He is restrained without a left arm. Pushkin appears in surgical clothes and requests a scalpel blade from an assistant. The operation was so agonizing that Bai fainted and woke up over and over. Pushkin lets Bai watch helplessly as he takes away his heart and other organs. Pushkin tells his assistant that he will have further use of Bai's right hand. The nurse assistant Sumi tells Bai that he should be blessed for having a divine hand that might end the age of pollutants. He asks that she kill him. The assistant tells him that Pushkin is the smartest prophet in the world and has already calculated all the times he will use his divine hand ability, and that the only thing he has not figured out yet is if his light sphere can also grant eternal life. Her condition for killing him is for him to give her his light sphere. Bai says he will give it to her and then lets the sphere get inside her. The feeling of the light inside her makes Bai realize how he can activate his ability. His rage rises, realizing that he is not the weak person everyone said he is. He retrieves the light sphere from Sumi. Pushkin re-enters the operating room, so Bai asks him if he knows he is about to die. He grabs a scalpel from the table and stabs his own eye with it. Back in the present, Bai mentally talks to Xiao to ask her if mind readers can feel other people's pain. His sudden mental voice surprises the girl. She sees him on top of the rooftop of a building and asks him to come over for his gathered students. He says he will stay where he is and asks what she thinks about pollutant people. Xiao asks if he is talking about the theory that human abilities came from pollutants. He shares his thoughts about how mutants have been polluted, especially their hearts. He reviews all of humanity's crimes in history. Xiao tries to lighten the mood by telling him not to worry about it. Bai then tells her he knows she gathered all the students to go against him, confusing the girl that her mental barrier did not work. He admits that he shared his memories with her because he did not care, and that her treating her own kind like cattle is proof that she is a pollutant. Xiao defends that she needs to sacrifice her fellow students for humanity to survive against him. Bai finds that she should sacrifice her abilities and power levels to him instead. Xiao tells him he is a demon for saying this. She tells the other students that they need to attack Bai quickly because the demon bull is inside his body. The students get hyped at the opportunity to kill him. Masa tells everyone he can convert everyone's energy and put it on someone else, so Yin volunteers to receive all the energy and blast it on Bai with his wind ability. Xiao laughs at Bai, thinking he has no chance of survival. As Masa puts everyone's energy on Yin, Yin feels the power growing inside him. Bai remains calm and simply points upwards. The students see that there is a giant shadow in the sky, being lifted up by pixies. Bai warns them that he can command the electronic pixies to send a bright light that can make the shadow even larger to cover them and trigger the rule. Masa and Yin worry that they have no defense against the shadow. Bai promises that they will die the moment they attack him. Masa begs not to be killed and points at Xiao for planning everything. Bai promises not to kill them if they give him their powers. Multiple light orbs go into the students and return to Bai, giving him countless abilities. He sarcastically comments on how low their abilities are. Everyone gets so weakened that none of them can stand. Xiao tells him he is a demon and warns him that Pushkin will not let him get away with this. Bai tells them that they only have one power level left, and that once day turns into night, they will be helpless as the demon bull descends on them. He declares that he will seal the bull after the night. Elsewhere, Pushkin tells his assistants that something bad happened at the school and that they need to hurry back. Sumi asks why he is driving when he can rent a plane if he is in a hurry, so he tells her that old men like him are very traditional. He tells Sumi that she needs to stay while Linky goes back with him. Linky assures the headmaster that she will be able to seal the bull. She leaves the room with the old man. Sumi looks jealous as Linky shows her tongue at her to tease her that she will go with the headmaster. Sheena's unconscious body is retrieved from the car and placed on a stretcher. Working together, the two hurry to place her in the spatial backpack and catch the young man. As expected, Ryan handles his master with gentleness and care, but Shaju rushes him with a sharp tone. Noticing something wrong, he immediately stepped back and put some distance between them. She clicks her tongue in annoyance and asks how he figured her plan out. Based on her behavior, she obviously intends to escape into the space with the young lady. She had heard what Bai said about the rules, and confirmed it based on Ming's death. Since the two men seemed to have created an alliance, she had to take the girl hostage. Ryan tries to call her bluff, saying she might trigger the rule and risk herself by doing so, but she has no problem dying altogether right there. She points at Sheena, aiming her finger like a gun and telling the bodyguard to move. Raising his hands in surrender, he agrees to obey as long as she keeps the young lady safe. After all, She's an ordinary person without powers, at least to their knowledge. Agreeing to the deal in frustration, the examiner opens her space backpack to let the body in. He watched closely, calculating the casting timing and window of the ability. It was a gamble, but there was no other option but to take it. Ryan trips the nurse, pushing Sheena's bed, causing her to fall to the ground with a loud scream. Shaju was momentarily distracted, and it was the only chance he was going to get. With this, he grips the armed van tight and hurls the entire vehicle straight at her. Although she was incredulous at the attempt, there were only a few things she could do to save herself. The woman chooses the wisest option, which was to jump back into safety of her portal. However, Ryan already expected this and let out a deafening roar. The sound waves hit the van's underside, triggering the bomb and forcing it to detonate right by the woman's side. The compact but powerful explosion blazed, and the bodyguard used his force field to protect them. From there, he sees the bull raging from the rule being broken. He curses Wang as the traitor used a bomb strong enough to take even a dinosaur like him out. Just then, a ball of light floated around the parking lot and high up the school buildings. It made its way to Bai, who gained the space backpack skill. On top of accumulating so much power, Ryan asks when he arrived, and the boy says he witnessed his smart plan to get rid of the woman, earning him a pass on his test. Making small talk, the guard realizes that the person before him was much stronger. Bai boasts about his cool moving throne, made from the energy light strings. He's offended as the dinosaurs seem to be unimpressed by his childish showmanship, so he piles on by showing even more theatrics. People were going to come tomorrow. If it weren't for special circumstances, he would have sacrificed everyone to understand the rule by now. Still confused, Ryan questions how this all even happened, and since Bai has taken a liking to him, he decides to spill the secret. The bowl, which served as the apparatus, is covered in an unknown golden substance. After coming in contact with a person, it unfolds into a pollute domain. Second, when the domain unfolds, the bowl remains asleep and is only awakened when a color change larger than its own appears. Unfortunately, an idiot earlier summoned a huge chunk of magma and triggered it. Third, the color of an object comes from sunlight, meaning the loss of sunlight would trigger indiscriminate attacks. Once all targets have been eliminated, the true form of the entity will appear, which is when he'll seal it. Based on the explanation, the bull would attack them after dark as well. This is where the space backpack comes in, as Bai and Sheena can watch Ryan get hammered outside. The ever-serious bodyguard fails to appreciate the boy's jokes, but he proudly shows his powers, which earned him the title of a human light. Hearing Bai's plan, the nurse couldn't believe that he intends to survive that way. He's more than capable of illuminating the entire area alone, and constantly at that. Back then, he was asked to adjust the size of his power, to emit different levels of brightness. Now he's adjusted the light to match the outside, and they will be in the only bright place once the sun sets. For Sheena's sake, he offers them a chance to live, as long as they don't cause trouble. The ordinary staff shook in fear, but Ryan just considered silently. Meanwhile, Bai thought about Pushkin and wondered when he's going to show up. He's deep in thought, trying to understand the actions of the man who could see the future. First off, the dinosaur worries for Sheena's safety, so he asks that she be returned to the space for now. The nurse and guard then insist on accompanying her for medical reasons. As the boy glares at them, they reason that it's just to save themselves, but to keep the lady safe. He's capable of waking her up any time, but he won't until he's sealed the bowl completely. For now, he rummages through the space, feeling something inside. It's Shaju's belongings, confirming that he's using the same dimension she did. Tossing all her stuff out, he manages to make enough room for all three of them. Before letting them in, he warns them against making a move on Sheena, as he can kill them at any time. They rush to the safety of the inside, and the portal is soon closed. Meanwhile, the sun was setting and darkness was rapidly enveloping the school. Seeing Ryan's troubled expression, Bai asks if he's scared, and mockingly notes that he must be worried about his boss' familial conflict. He tells the boy to drop it, understanding that people like them would do anything to revitalize their kin. The butler is asked about the Jai family's research, but he only knows that a thesis paper is what broke them apart. Sheena's father wrote about using the pollutants to enhance a sealer's powers. It was a fairly popular theory, and this level of commotion can only mean a definite conclusion. Again, Ryan only knows so much as the butler, and it'd be best if Bai confirms it himself. They decide to talk about it more later on, as things are finally beginning. With the arrival of the night, the desperate and agonized screams soon follow. Due to the sheer number of triggers, the bowls come in the form of meteors raining down on the school like deliverance. Soon enough, everything turned quiet, as there was no one left alive to scream. The question now was how was going to seal it. Seeking the remaining colors left behind, the true body will reveal itself, and it's the only chance he has. As expected, he soon comes face to face with the polluted bowl. What if there was a way to bar it from sensing color altogether? Controlling Goki's power, he commands his shadow skill forward. It first wrapped around the beast's legs, enveloping its limbs slowly but surely. The range is a little small, but A-rank abilities can be strengthened by pouring more power in. He injects 3,000 power points, and allows the shadow to consume the bowl completely. After a while, the skill covers its eyes and throws it into darkness. Just like that, the raging bull is contained, and the polluted domain soon begins to crumble. Bai opens the portal, allowing those inside to fall out in surprise and confusion. The next step was to put the being in the space backpack and take it away for himself. He pours 4,000 power to expand the space, so much so that it sucks the bull in. With the portal closed, the killing machine is effectively sealed. Unlike Pushkin, he did not put it to sleep, but cut it off from triggers, at least only until he wanted it to be. Keeping his promise, he bestows some power onto Sheena and runs to leave. The young man jumps over the roof and, with a satisfied grin, bids his acquaintances goodbye. He flies with a combination of collected skills and sped forward while looking for the loan shark who tormented him endlessly. Sheena opened her eyes and suddenly jolted up her bed. Told that she was out for half a day, she urgently wonders where Bai is. Her attendants check on her condition and are surprised to see her incredibly high power levels. For now, Ryan calls on everyone to move out. She agrees, having a lot to tell her father, and asks to hear more about Bai on the way. Noting the dinosaur's transformed state, she questions why she's on guard, and for the first time sees the havoc that was ensuing. Half a day was all that passed, but everything around her was a disaster. Assuring that they're safe now, the bodyguard tells the attendants to leave and carries his young lady on his shoulder. Together they leap away. In the middle of the city, Kim smoked from a lavvish room, several stories above the streets. A woman on his bed seduces him, asking to get married already, but he waves her off and says they have to wait. Just then, a child bursts through the door, agreeing and saying she likes it the most when humans stick together. It was the loan shark's daughter, who was left in his custody after his divorce. Furious and feeling lied to, the woman tries to leave, but Kim leaves first and tells his child to have fun with the pretty lady. He left with a heinous smile, ignoring the woman's angered screams. With this, he makes his way down the building and answers a call. He gives his boss a rundown of the loan payments collected that day. His life was the best, blessed with a boss that trusts him, and a child that awakened quite early. Just then, his phone buzzed, and the connection started to break off. Coming clear again, he's told to return to work the next day, making Kim complain about his vacation. Bai smiles as he mocks him, telling the loan shark to report on today's business. Although annoyed over having to repeat himself, the man does as told but quickly turned his head. To his side, he sees the young man activating a bunch of powers. He walked to Kim with delight, saying he has to follow his orders from now on. The next order is to recall the death of every debtor he forced to die, and for him to die the same way. He trembles, struggling to go against it, as this would also end in his death. Frustrated by his cowardice, Bai frees him from all that fear with a skill. He's given extreme survival, which consumes power points to repair fatal injuries. Dissatisfied with his low power, the boy even gives a few points to help him survive a few more times. The first step is to die from a car crash, so he walks into oncoming traffic. Kim's death comes in the form of a speeding truck, but there were many more to come after. On the other hand, Bai heads up the building and knocks on his daughter's door. There, their large dog opens the door and greets him with a smile. For some reason, its upper body was that of a human's. The child was also there, her legs replaced by the woman her father was with earlier. He then uses the same power to control the child, and tells her to find her father and play with him. Using her splicing skill to combine with her dog, she turns into a ball and literally rolls out of the building. As he sighed in exasperation, his entire body suddenly shook, and a horrifyingly strong power tried to force its way out of him. It's the power of the golden bull, struggling to escape the seal it was caged in. Bai screamed and fell to the floor, as the bull's power tried to force its way out. He doesn't understand how it's doing so, despite the rule being cut off by shadow skill. For now, he opens the portal and injects 3,000 levels to maintain the seal, as the initial number drops significantly. From outside, he sees the monster staring right back, as if mocking his attempts. He pants in exhaustion, but knows that it's all but a temporary measure for the bigger problem. It was constantly trying to take over his body, and he wouldn't last 3 days at this rate. Unfortunately, he was in no spot to release the being and let the domain reappear. After all, it was a key part in his plan to take revenge against Pushkin. Ken was busy bashing his head against the wall and ignored the dazed daughter that bounced to him. He fell to the ground as Bai retrieved the power points he now had to spend smartly. The plan was to kill him with his boss, but that will have to wait for now. He sets off to find Sheena, hopeful that her researcher father might have a better way of sealing it. Meanwhile, Hua cursed Goki while slurping on his noodles, having just found out about what he did to his daughter. He knew the young man wasn't the typical person, and fortunately prepared beforehand. Ryan finishes his report on what happened, and they wonder how the old man found out. To their surprise, he admits to injecting him with hormones after he saw him peeking at his mother. From then on, he sent men and women to approach Goki, fooling him with a life of fake popularity. He even used items to slow his nephew's power growth significantly. After all, he's a devil who killed a girl when he was only 12 years old. His father, Renmei, suppressed the matter and the boy got away scot-free. However, their family was eventually caught and is using the matters as leverage to get his research. Sheena offers to help, saying she can now that her powers have awakened. He fawns over her, promising to throw a celebration for the happy occasion soon. On the other hand, he'll deal with her uncle himself and would like to meet Bai if possible. That said, the father won't hesitate to hurt him if he's interested in her. As he hugs his daughter, he shares an understanding nod with Ryan. With this, it was certain that something was going to change within the family that night. The bodyguard escorts Sheena away for now, eager to get her out of there right away. Hua was obsessed with research and let the Branch family take over, but that ends tonight. If his daughter made it out of school alive, then the academy officials won't hide their secret anymore. The entire building has been cleared of civilians and security measures have been switched off. He dons a collection of odd things, prepared to fight whoever he's going to encounter. A cat mask opened its eye and uncontrollably jotted around to grasp the environment. He pairs it with a monocle, which allows the eye to sit still and focus. With the red coat, he can conceal himself completely and see all things hidden and unhidden. It was a collection of 3 pollutants turned into tools for the perfect stealth operation. A person comes as expected, but he doesn't know who Gi is. Bai, who was also hiding with stealth, looked around in confusion as he didn't see anyone. Since he doesn't have much time, he decides to leave a message instead. As he wrote a letter asking for help and information, Hua observed, reading into all of the young man's information and skills. To make things a bit clearer, he puts the monocle on and sees the sinister energy of the bull raging within him. The researcher can't help but stagger away in shock, not expecting the S-class pollutant to be there. Consumed by his sheer curiosity, he takes the concealing items off and calls Bai his son-in-law. He jumps at him with an enormous smile, asking to be given the S-rank pollutant. The young man instinctively raises a telekinetic barrier. He keeps the excited researcher away, saying they might die if he lets it out. Considering how crazed he was despite the danger, the boy takes not to be careful. To quell his fears, Hua says the bull isn't that dangerous, having been informed about the rules already. After rummaging through a drawer, he tosses an odd creature to the visitor. Bai lets the jellyfish-like item in surprise, seeing it squirt dark ink onto his hands. While it's a low-class pollutant, it might just resolve his problem entirely. Hua tells the boy to pick the pollutant up, unless he wants the entire building drowned in ink. Using the energy line, he lassos the jellyfish and lifts it up. The Western continent is rich in oil and has become a source of strife and war. They found a small country with a huge oil field and wanted to bypass agreements to secretly exploit it. A month later, they saw the whole country was covered in darkness and was sure it was an S-class pollutant. After days of discussions between nations, an elite team was gathered to take care of the global crisis. By the time the sealers arrived, the small country had been flooded in ink, killing all locals. They saw the lone jellyfish still spewing ink, which disappeared completely upon being sealed. It sounds like a farce, but the creature really does fill space up with ink. Put it together with the space where the bull is stored, then their rules will cancel each other out. Bai is stunned by the mechanics of what he was suggesting, but given the logical explanation, it might actually be feasible to fill the space pack with the unlimited ink, instead of his consumable shadows. Still, the rules can collide and backfire, but the only thing that can fight a pollutant is another pollutant. Hua takes a C-class satiated octopus out, which grows rapidly to occupy half a space. If they toss it into his pack, it would probably burst into half the size of a galaxy. He gets excited and insists that there are a ton of useful pollutants, which have minimal side effects. The researcher sneakily offers Bai his entire collection in exchange for his bull. Noting the items he used to sneak up on him, the boy considers using it against Pushkin. He plays hard to get and absolutely refuses to let the valuable bull go. Hua takes it the wrong way, and says he must be using it to get his daughter instead. Despite his vehement refusal, the man still tells him to take the monocle, and is very insistent on it. After all, he's doing it for Sheena, and to make sure her savior doesn't die too easily. With this, he studies the item for a moment, and tosses the jellyfish into his space pack. Instantly he feels it spewing ink, and the speed of his shadow's consumption slowed down. Although he has many more questions, Hua tells Bai to leave, as he was about to have a busy night. Leading the young man to the faster exit, he gives one last warning against hurting his daughter. The sudden shift in demeanor surprises him, but he shares that he respects her a lot in the first place. He summons his wings and flies away, deciding not to ask what he shouldn't. The goal now is to prepare for Pushkin by collecting 1,000 abilities and 1,000,000 power points. Meanwhile, Hua opens a box containing a dark and shriveled hand. It's the A-class seal item, Monkey Claw. He puts his collection of pollutant items on again, ready to greet his visitors. The surveillance cameras show his little brother, Renmei, walking forward with a bunch of powerful sealers. The first is an old man named Ming, then came Jaya and Chen, all of whom are incredibly powerful. They want him to lift the restrictions on the use of pollutants, but this would essentially doom the world. Given their movements, his research must be on the right track, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. While all this was happening, Ryan was outside the estate guarding Sheena, who was resting in her room. Suddenly, a knock came to her window. It was Bai. Ryan turns in shock as the wall to the young lady's room explodes. Fortunately, only the wall was blasted open, and the inside was all okay. The same couldn't be said for Bai, who was completely incinerated. Sheena urgently looked around, trying to find bandages as though they would help. Since he's absorbed healing abilities, the young man says he'll try to take care of himself. Going through his list of recovery skills, he completely regenerates but chooses to keep his tentacle arm. The girl apologizes for nearly killing him, insisting that he scared her so badly. She heard his voice for sure, but saw tentacles on the window when she turned around, and couldn't help but wonder if it was an imitation. While she's still skeptical if he really is who he says he is, it doesn't matter to him, as he only came to make sure she's okay. Recalling how he even lost an arm to save her, the girl insists on thanking him somehow. Bai gives a jolly smile, explaining that he can fix his arm anytime. Ignoring him, Ryan is informed of what happened and asked if he could pull a few strings for her. Not too eager to join her, he summons his wings to leave, insisting that he has to go. The young lady is persistent and pleads to just give her some time to change into nice clothes. Humoring her, he thinks about Pushkin and how he's likely moving toward him already. With the headmaster's ability, finding him should be easy, so why hasn't he come yet? Countless thoughts flooded Bai's mind as he tried to make sense of what was going to happen. He's thrown into a loop of expecting the unexpected when Sheena's voice suddenly cuts through his mind, saying he seems too anxious. She emerges with a lovely dress, looking like spring herself. The best way forward is one with a good mindset, so she encourages him to enjoy the present. Convinced, he offers to fly her to their destination as long as she pays for dinner. The young girl blushes, thinking that he's going to carry her in his arms like in the comics. However, he isn't one for cliché romances, and instead fantasizes about spaceships. The two zoom away together, leaving a golden trail that confuses Ryan. They soon arrive at the mall and have a fancy dinner at a buffet, bringing a huge pile of food onto their table. Slowly, she brings her powers up and says she's been thinking about them. While there may be side effects, she's willing to go through them, certain she'll be fine with him and her father there. If it works, the girl will be able to help the people she cares about. He allows it for now, ready to keep her safe with his healing abilities. A while later, empty plates stacked high. With an oddly deep understanding of her new powers, she increases her capacity for food. Everyone looked on in shock, seeing the girl's figure inflate massively within moments. She smiled, delighted as she lost her appetite at one point, after focusing so much on her weight. That said, he can only think about how broken she'd be if she saw how large she had become. He goes through his skill list, desperate to find something to thin her back down. There are a bunch he can use, but she suddenly gets up to get some fruit, so he offers to get some for her, and takes not to get some napkins in case she cries. For some reason, there's a puddle on the floor. He doesn't bother with it and walks over for now, but his reflection stayed on the water, smiling deviously. The next time he walked over, Bai stepped into the water, and suddenly found himself sinking into the ground. Sheena was confused as to why he was taking so long, but the young man was high in the air, suddenly plummeting into the open sea. Hurtling from the sky, Bai urgently called to his wings, which soon appeared on his back. Still unable to move, he uses his energy ray to create the spaceship from before. The light fizzles out uselessly. He was ambushed with a no-fly rule, so he had no choice but to fall to the sea. However, doing so unprotected would leave him with fatal injuries. Using everything he has, he boosts his resistances and activates everything that can cover his body. Layers of muscle, rock, tentacles, and even summon monsters wrapped around his entire being. Not done, he uses compression to increase air density and friction, and essentially turns into a meteor that was going to crash into the sea. After the crash, he intends to use all recovery skills as well, topping it off with water survivability. Now the question was how he was caught, and who laid the trap for him. Deep underwater, a mermaid-like woman watched closely. Joined by two humans, she tells them that a guest has arrived. The sealer was named Yuzin and had a mermaid bloodline ability. Kong says she's going to steal the crystal and seal first, and wants to pick the items first. Peng lets her, seemingly out for something different on his own. With their agreement, the three get moving, and the young woman uses her ability to steal the victim's items. The jellyfish pollutant appears, along with a couple of power crystals. She goes through her loot, saying the seal doesn't look useful, and gives the similarly weak crystals to Peng as mentioned earlier. Moving on, Yuzin gets ready to take his life, and everything else he has. It stole his flame abilities, but the image above water was saying otherwise. Still in the sky, Bai was hurtling like a meteor, but now had a deep red color. With the jellyfish gone, the bull raged and was doing its best to take over his body. Realizing that the enemy was nearby, he uses Mind Probe to look into who they were. He sees the three underwater, all having thoughts completely useless to him. Annoyed that they dared to make trouble against him, he humors their game and shot his shadow forward. It sped to the water, and Yuzin started to panic upon seeing that he was a multi-ability awakener. She moves fast to create a water vortex, which will crush him the moment he enters the water. To her surprise, the shadow dove into the sea, not caring about her vortex, and wrapped itself around the mermaid. Suddenly, Bai disappeared from the sky and charged right through her body, tearing right through it. The woman was still screaming in agony when his hand appeared out of nowhere. He grabbed hold of his head, still scowling as the bull tried to force itself out of him. His frown turns into a grin of satisfaction as he makes her head burst apart. He can use the demon bull's rule to instantly attack anyone whose color is changed by his shadow. Behind, he sees a couple of bubbles containing Tashinas he can't touch without risking death. However, Peng's ability wasn't so simply avoidable. Triggering the bubbles, he causes them to explode and was sure that his enemy was good as dead already. Unfortunately, Bai was far too strong to be done, and just like that, he tried compressing the Tashinas, but the sea currents rage, unwilling to obey the outsider. As expected, the rules of the sea are not so easy to avoid. The only way to deal with a pollutant is to use another pollutant. With a maniacal smile, he asks the bull if it wants to come out, and decides to let it breathe some fresh air again. The sinister red energy rushed out of Bai's body, seeping into the deep waters. The entire sea was consumed by a pollute domain, which also served as the territory of the demonic bull inside Bai's body. It was unthinkable for a human to house a pollutant under their own skin. Fortunately, Peng still has a seal, which should send him to a random space on the planet if consumed. The seal disappears from his hand, stolen by Kong, who was watching from nearby. She laughs at him for trying to escape on his own, and now she was going to leave him there. Immediately bursting the bubble to free herself, the woman unexpectedly falls unconscious. It was actually a seal that puts the user into a coma, and Peng planned for her to steal it from the start. Summoning the real seal and activating it to escape, a small whirlwind enveloped him. For a moment he disappears from the domain, but jumps back immediately after. In an unbelievable twist, he can't get out despite the seal. The desperate man summons several others, and although his body is teleported away for a brief moment, he returns to the domain all the same. This was the worst case scenario. When he was dragged into the sea, his other items were all trapped, and he's left with little to no attack skills. Peng racks his brain, desperate to find something, anything he can use to survive. On the other hand, Bai felt amazing, as he had full control over the S-class domain. He feels something odd and realizes that he was being attacked. It was a ridiculous attempt, one that only served to anger him. The bull kills people with instinctive instant teleportation that doesn't even consume power points. He tries it out and appears right behind Peng, whose back chilled with fear. The man was moving faster than he ever could. Bai shares that it's possible to transfer other objects in the domain and calls for the Tashinas earlier. Enlarging and melding them together, he threateningly raises it above the terrified man. Peng attacked with bubbles, unable to do any more than this, but the boy just caught it with his backpack, saying his bull was going to enjoy it. Now moving on to his death, he pushed the Tashinas forward, causing it to eat the sealer alive. His skin and flesh fell off as he cursed Yan, the woman who threw him into the sea. As he was vaporized into nothingness, Bai absorbed his ability and was unexpectedly delighted. He then moves on to Kong, who is still completely unconscious. Her stealing ability will not be forgotten, as it's a perfect supplement to his own. Unfortunately for her, the condition to activate it is to use one of her hands. With Kim's daughter's splicing ability, he removes her arm and finally replaces his tentacle one. It's been a long time since he last felt both hands. Moving on, the jellyfish is tossed back into the space back, and Bai almost immediately feels the bull receding as it blocked its vision. Defeating the two sealers has given him a bunch of rare consumables, including a rare droplet that allows regeneration at a certain point in time. With this, he now has another way of surviving against Pushkin. It's time to figure a way out of the domain, where Yan trapped the others for weeks. Turning around, the young man realizes that Kong has disappeared. Based on Peng's memory, there are dozens of sealers there, and they might have saved her. He's in big trouble. The ink is blocking the bull's sight, and his body has been polluted already. Bai's body was eroding because of the pollutant, and the effects were irreversible. Renhua's method has failed, and the only way to restrain the bull was by himself. The young man uses the mermaid's skill to summon huge fins and get out of the water. Swimming up with resolution, he aims to find the others and gather information, no matter what it takes. He swam forward, speeding across the sea like a torpedo, when he suddenly saw something that made him stop. Below him were countless sleeping whales, which may refer to the domain's name, Whale's Dream. To crack the hidden rules, he has to investigate carefully, without triggering anything risky. As he started to approach, a voice suddenly and urgently warned him against coming any closer. The sound came from the surface, where a small boat was floating right above him. Swimming back to greet the voice, he asks if it was her shouting. On the boat was a woman who asks for food in exchange for saving him. Bai thinks about the plate of watermelon slices he came with, but that's all gone. Knowing he just arrived, she persists and offers a huge sum, not minding if the food isn't fresh. The young man doesn't care about money, and is more interested in how she knows about him. He was stirring huge waves with his ability, and people there don't do that as power cannot be restored. The newcomer suggests slaughtering the whales for food, but that would just lead to death. To her surprise, he suddenly summons a bee, which releases an endless flow of honey. Unable to believe it, the woman promises to share everything she knows if he gives her some. Soon enough, she sighed in relief with a full belly. Fortunately, she got to meet him before losing her mind from starvation. Invigorated, she uses her ability. Her name is Wako, president of the Quan Chamber of Commerce, and she starts asking for his honey. Offered anything in exchange, Bai playfully asks if she's included in that. The woman bites and says it depends on the amount of honey he can offer. He backs away, only meaning it as a joke anyway. She comes close and, for a second time, tries to get him to give his honey. Pushed away again, she's told to explain how to get out of there instead. That said, none of them would be locked up there if they knew of a way. For a third time, she appeals, this time encouraging him to do anything to protect her. Her persuasion skill has always earned her success in negotiations, and no one has refused after 3 tries. However, her attempts earn her a hand around her neck this time. Unfortunately for the woman, Bai has skills that block mental attacks like hers. He was hoping to get out of there, but given how unfriendly everyone has been, he considers killing everyone. She screams in terror, now genuinely offering submission for her life. Not wanting to believe her promises anymore, he uses the divine hand to take her ability. The two calm down soon after. Wako had never expected such a person to emerge. With a confident grin, Bai uses her own ability against her and demands to be told everything. Whale's Dream is a domain that hasn't been breached, meaning its rules are still currently unknown. Without food, a depleted power level cannot be restored, and all there is are the whales below. They were in a sealer's prison, used by the Zhang family for pesky enemies. Their main business is assassination, and they're also hired to kill people outside the 6 main clans. That considered, he wonders if they have a connection to the Jai family. The 6 families have different fields of specialization, and she briefly explains each one for him. He then stands up, saying it's time to go and greet the sealers of the clans. He intends to obtain all their abilities and power points to find a way out of the domain. Wako argues that there's no point in being number 1 there, as they'll never get out. He refuses to humor any further arguments and just commands her to follow. Even if the domain is an A ranker, the bull residing inside him is an S ranker who can kill everything there. If he were to die in such a ridiculous place, Pushkin would surely laugh at him from outside.